Here we go. One step at a time, don't be living.
Hello everyone, we are here with Anna Willards and we want to do this commentary very important for the women's community and for all the things that are happening in court right now with Jian Ghomashi and how the victims has been victimized even more in court, and we are afraid that this guy will go free. Anna.
Yeah. Hey, Alex.
So what do you think about that? I'm very afraid that this guy will go free. I'm afraid that in court we don't have justice. We want more like to have the victim to show why the victim act sometimes the way that they act when they get abused.
Right.
Like to bring professionals to talk about it. We don't see that in court.
Yeah.
So what's happening?
Well, I think, Alex, what we're seeing is that despite all of the work by women's advocates, despite all of the work of survivors of violence like Jane Doe and so many others over the years, even progressive lawyers who've been working on this, what we're seeing is that the court system continues to propagate the same old myths, the same old stereotypes, the same old injustice when it comes to victims of sexual assault. And so we're seeing the same tactics by defense lawyers, you know, to attack the credibility, to drag up history of victims of sexual violence, to use all of that to undermine her testimony and to attack her and to make her seem like she's not legitimate in her claims. So the fact is that victims of sexual assault are not protected in the justice system. They do not have the preparation that's required. They don't bring in the experts, like you said. Jane Doe has just written about this in Now magazine here in Toronto, about the fact that during her trial in the 90s, when she sued the Toronto police for the way they investigated her, the crime against her, they brought in all sorts of research and expert witnesses, and there's all sorts of precedent for bringing into a trial information about how victims respond to sexual violence, as well as how women who experience abuse respond. And it's not black and white. We do often act in ways that don't make sense to the average person, that don't seem to be logical. We do often not believe even for ourselves that what's happened's happened, and we might reach out, or we might try to contact the assailant again to try to figure out, maybe I can get him to admit it, maybe I can, talk with him about what happened, right? I mean, victims of violence act in all sorts of ways that are not, a clear-cut, I've been violated, therefore, I'm going to tell the first person that I see, I'm going to never have contact with the person again. This happens all the time. So it really becomes evidence that sexual assault is not a crime like any other crime. Victims of sexual assault are not treated the same way as victims of any other crime are treated. Could you imagine if you got your car stolen, or you were victimized in a robbery, being asked all sort of things like, did you take your money out in public? Did you, leave your keys in the car? Did you, the way you were looking might have invited somebody to do that? These are not questions that are asked of other victims of crime, but they are asked in court. And so, despite a lot of progress that we've made in society about this, men are more aware about sexual violence, women, lots of people are more aware about sexual violence. In the courts, it's still the same old as it was 20, 30 years ago.
I'm afraid about that. If this guy goes free, it will be like a slap of the face to women, to all the work that we have been doing for us to have more justice when it comes to sexual violence. Because to have women, to get them encouraged to go into actually demand justice in front of his abuser, of her abuser.
Yeah.
It's just right there. It's a whole psychological a shock.
I think the slap in the face has already happened, actually, Alex. I think it almost doesn't matter whether he goes free or not. This trial has been such a circus. It's been such feature daily attacks on women. So many stereotypes that have been floated out there. That I think the slap in the face has already happened. I know that there are even movements online to help women and any survivor of sexual violence, actually, because men do experience this as well, to help people cope with that. So, you know, it really already is causing a lot of people to believe those same old tired stereotypes that women lie about what's happening to them, that they're manipulative, that they only, you know, cry rape because they want notoriety or somehow enjoy this treatment in court. You know, it doesn't make any sense, but it's already happening. So it's almost beside the point in a way whether he is found guilty or not. I agree with you that if he is acquitted, that it will become, it dissuades so many more women from coming forward. I think what it might do, though, is again, because awareness is better. People do, you know, the general public, I think, is way ahead of the courts on this, actually. Mm-hmm. And I think that people do, you know, we have been vocal about sexual violence and all forms of violence against women for many years now. So I think generally people do believe that it happens. You know, we're not faced with some of the same kind of denial that we were many years ago when I started doing this work. So maybe what it can give rise to is people saying, the justice system isn't going to work. We're going to figure out ways to hold men in our lives accountable. Whether that's all of the men that knew Ghomeshi, you know, yes, it's alleged right now, but who knew of his behavior, whose women friends talked about his behavior, maybe more of them will be prompted by this to speak up when they know it's happening, to confront men in their lives who are engaging in this type of behavior. Perhaps we can get that kind of action and community action out of this. I would hope so.
Well, I would hope that if we had this guy free,
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't be sitting like just letting him go. I think we should do like, you know, rallies and get back to the court and with other judge and with other lawyers, with other prosecutor. I mean, I think we need to make, we need to put our mark in this. Because
Well,
we can, I mean, this is a big case. It's
Yes,
not
it's
just
huge.
1 or 2 or 3 women.
One thing we got to remember is there's another important case going on in that same courthouse right now. It's a woman
Right.
named Mandy Gray who's got a complaint against a fellow student up at York University, and I believe she also has a human rights case going on against York University. So what we need to do is be aware, because the media likes to focus on the, you know, the celebrities, right?
Right.
But the fact is, day in, day out, women and some men are dealing with this crime against them and going to court and bravely testifying. So one thing we can do is be aware of all of the cases that are going on and not just get fixated on the celebrity ones. But yes, you're right. I think it's March 24th. The verdict will come down. That does give people. There have been protesters, I understand, outside of court.
But
in the
we
day
need
to
like
day.
we need to get. I mean, I'm not calling for okay, let's just do this big mass. But I think it's important for women to say enough of your patriarchal system that wants to give
Right.
the men the power and celebrity,
Right.
and bring the big lawyer, which is a woman
Yeah.
too, and victimize the women. And why do you don't bring professionals? Why you don't explain in court
Yes.
how these women react when they had to confront their abuses, or why they? I mean, how many women in violence in their houses, domestic violence, stay with their husband just because they need the support for their kids?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that is also like we really need to have a movement
Well,
here.
we have International Women's Day coming up. As we know, here in Toronto, it's March 5th this year. March 8th, of course, is International Women's Day. That will be a time that people need to show up in numbers to protest this kind of violence. We have this Sunday, the strawberry ceremony to honor Indigenous women and girls. This is the 11th one it's a ceremony, but it's also a time when we remember that hundreds and hundreds of Indigenous women and girls have gone missing and been murdered in this country. So we have those opportunities coming up. I believe there will be another trial. I think there's a second set of allegations against Ghomeshi.
Okay.
So this is not the end of it. Hopefully the Crown attorney, the folks who are supposed to represent the victims in these trials. Hopefully they are watching this case and they are learning. I don't feel super confident of that. That's where folks like you and me and Las Perlas subscribers can be calling their local MPP, the Ontario government, and saying, what the heck is going on here with the Crown attorneys? Why are they not using the evidence that's there to be able to refute this kind of tactic on the part of this lawyer? And then, you know, we do have social media. We do have ways of talking to each other about what we know is happening. There's a website, a news source called Canada Land that has been following Ghomeshi, and I was just reading on my way here that he's got his Facebook page back up. You know, so I mean, we can keep on top of this. We don't have to depend on mainstream media.
So his Facebook page is on right now.
Apparently so. Now, I just read this, so do check it out. Well, don't go to his Facebook page, but this is something.
Well, if you go to the book, well, you know what to do, right?
But we have alternative media. The point is, we have other ways of talking with each other, finding out what's going on. We're not advocating harassing people, but the fact is that we can get information through more than just those mainstream outlets, and we can be watching out for each other. We can be taking action when a woman comes to us and says, this is happening to me. We can stop saying, if for those of us who say, oh, you got to report that to police. Well, that might be one option that she can look at, but she also can look at other options, and we need to be there for each other and supporting each other, supporting people like Mandy Gray, as I say, and supporting other folks who are going forward, and letting them know that no matter what the courts say, no matter what mainstream media says, no matter what columnists in mainstream media say, we believe you.
Yes.
We know that this happened. We believe you, and show that kind of support. And that's the least we can do. It's a start, but I agree with you. We do need a movement against this, we'll trust and hope that folks take this on.
Yeah, and hopefully the judge will send him at least some 5-10 years in jail. And we'll see.
We'll see.
At least.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we'll
Ana,
see.
muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for
And it's always a pleasure
me.
to have Ana talking about women's issues. She's a great specialist in this. And we see you next time, and we will continue communicate about what is going on with Jian Ghomeshi trial.
Yeah.